channel, or welcome if you're new, and today I'm just going to be doing a travel Q&A. So some of these are questions which you guys have asked me, and some of the questions are just ones I have found online, but I thought it would be a great idea for you guys to find out a little bit about the traveling I have done in the past and what I'm looking to do in the future. So with that being said, let's get into the video. So the first question is, how many places have you travelled to and what are they? So I've been lucky enough to travel to 8 different countries: Australia, where I'm from, Vanuatu, Fiji, New Caledonia, Germany, Austria, Switzerland and France, and amongst those countries I've been to a lot of different places. So that's all the places I've been. And the next question is, what was your favourite place to visit? And this is a really hard question because I have enjoyed so many of these places, but my favourite's probably Paris because I'd been dreaming of going for such a long time, and when I was actually there it was just kind of like a dream come true. And I just remember standing in front of the Eiffel Tower crying because I was like, I can't believe I'm actually here. What has been your least favourite? My least favourite places were probably either Noumea or Suva in the South Pacific. I don't know, I just didn't really gel with those places, and because I did them on a cruise, I honestly couldn't wait to just get back on the boat and go to our next location. What was the most surprising thing you did or saw? I don't know if it's the most surprising thing, but I guess maybe the most exciting thing I've done is when I was in Suva, I got to go ziplining through the forest, and that was incredible. And that was probably pretty surprising to me and to some people who know me because I don't really like heights very much. So yeah, I don't know. Nothing overly surprised me in any of my travels. What was the scariest moment you had whilst traveling? So the scariest moment I had was when I was in Lucern in Switzerland, and one of the biggest things I was warned about going there was be wary of pickpocketers. So my sister and my dad and I, we were just walking through the shopping mall, and my sister was holding her purse, and I thought, oh my goodness, what if someone steals it? And especially because there was this lady who was walking really close to us, and she looked really determined. So I was just keeping an eye on my sister, and she was fine, nothing happened. But I was watching this lady, and she walks right past my sister and into the shop that we were about to go into, and she just starts putting all these things in her bag. And on the one hand I felt bad because she was obviously quite desperate, but at the same time it's the wrong thing to do, to steal. So I just kind of stood in front of the exit as she was trying to get out of the store, and she's starting to yell at me, and I don't understand the language, so I have no idea what she's saying to me. But because she's yelling at me, obviously to move, get out of the way, it caught the attention of the shopkeeper. We told the shopkeeper what had happened, and he took her out the back, and that was that. I am the most non-confrontational person I know though, so that was really scary to me to have this person just yelling at me. What were the locals you met like? Pretty much everywhere I went, the locals were absolutely lovely, with the exception of Noumea in New Caledonia. So the locals there, if they were somewhere like a resort, they were absolutely fine. But in terms of just the people you'd meet on the street, they just weren't as friendly. They were a bit standoffish, and that's probably contributed to my negative opinion on the place as a whole. Where would you like to revisit? So I would honestly revisit pretty much everywhere I have already been, but I guess the priorities for me that I'm most likely to revisit is Melbourne in Victoria, which I go to all the time. All of Tasmania, I love Tasmania so much. It's somewhere which I've probably already been probably close to 20 times, but I love it. I I think I'm quite likely to revisit Paris and Salzburg. Salzburg again was one of those places where it was like an absolute dream for me, and Paris, even though I spent a week there, I still feel like I missed out on so much, and there's so much more that I'd like to do. And I'd probably revisit most of the places I went to in Germany, which I hope is a high possibility because I've got family there, which I would love to see again. Would you ever move to any of the places you have visited? So of the places I've visited so far, the place I'm most likely to move to is Melbourne, and it's something that I'm definitely highly considering. So the next two questions kind of tie in together, which is where are you most excited to visit in the future, and what place is the top of your bucket list? So for me, it's between London and New York. They're both places which I've wanted to visit for such a long time, and fingers crossed they're going to be my next destination. Have you ever been somewhere where they did not speak your language, and how did that go? So speaking English, pretty much everywhere speaks English, which is fantastic, but when I went to this town called Wittstock in Germany, not many of my family members did speak English, only a handful did. So the ones that did speak both English and German, they did a lot of translation for us, but if they weren't around, we relied really heavily on Google Translate and acting things out to try and show what we wanted. And it was definitely difficult, but I was really lucky we were there for about 2 weeks, so by the end of the 2 weeks it kind of felt like we understood what was going on, and I think it's kind of left us with a deeper connection with those people. I don't know, it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, and I definitely picked up some German myself. What item can't you travel without? I can't travel without my camera. Whether it's my Canon, a GoPro, or my phone, I just need a camera of some sort. I love to document memories, and I love to look back on them, so I could not go somewhere without a camera. That's my go-to travel item. What is your favorite childhood travel memory? So I was very lucky as a child that we got to do a lot of traveling, whether it be just a road trip or a caravan trip or to see our family. We did a lot of it, and it was really great to get to spend that time with my family. I feel like I'm very close with pretty much everyone in my family, so that was definitely one of my favorite memories. But my favorite trip was probably when I was about 10. It was the second or third time I'd actually been to Tasmania, but it was the first time I can like clearly remember it. So that's probably my favorite childhood memory, because that was when I was suddenly being exposed to a totally different world for me. We got to see snow, and we got to see so many historic sites and stuff like that, so that was really cool for me. What's the best street food you've ever had? We got them when we were in Tasmania, and they're called oliebollen, and so they're kind of like the center of a donut, but they're filled with either fruit, and they've got a very dough-like consistency, like more dense than a donut, and they're covered in cinnamon. And the other favorite street food of mine is strawberries coated in chocolate on a stick, which you can get from the Christmas markets in Germany. Oh my god, I had so many of those, and they were so good. Do you recommend walking, taking public transport, or taking private transport? So I think they've all got their pros and their cons, and it depends where you are and what you're doing. Obviously private transport is really convenient, but it's also really expensive. But it does mean you get to access a lot of places where tourists typically couldn't go. I definitely recommend walking everywhere you can. It's a cheaper option, it helps keep you fit and stops you from putting on weight while you're away, which is so easy to do. So I definitely recommend walking, but public transport is available nearly everywhere you go, so take advantage of that if you can. Do you prefer the window seat or the aisle seat? I prefer the window seat hands down, especially if it's a long haul flight. Do you have any tips to avoid jet lag? Again, this comes back to trying to grab a window seat if you can, because you can lean against that window and that's going to help you sleep so much more. And just try and make sure you sleep as much as you can before you get on that plane, while you're on the plane, and try and land in the destination you're traveling to, if possible, in the late afternoon, because then you can just get settled in, have some dinner and go to sleep, and then hopefully by the time you wake up you'll be all good. Just try and sleep as much as possible. Do you prefer to travel to hot or cold climates? I prefer to travel to cold climates in general. I love the cold weather and I would seek that out wherever possible. And if I'm traveling to somewhere where it's a bit colder or their winter season, it also means it's probably off-peak, so it's a bit cheaper. But it would definitely depend on where I'm traveling. If I'm going to somewhere like Hawaii or Croatia or Greece or the Maldives, like I'd definitely go in the summer for those. So it would just depend, but mostly traveling for a colder climate. How do you get the money to travel? So this one, I'm not the best example. I suck at saving, but what I do is I set up a direct debit from my normal account into a savings account, and a set amount just goes across every week, and that money is just for traveling and I can't touch it otherwise. What is the most budget-friendly holiday you can recommend? So I definitely recommend trying to stay with family and friends to save on money, and to also buy your food from the supermarket and prepare it yourself rather than eating out every night. You can also try and find when flights are on sale, but keep in mind there will only be certain periods you can travel with those sale flights. And just keep an eye out for good deals that are out there. One in particular that I really love is called Luxury Escapes, and they offer so many deals and you're quite often getting a really great bargain on a really good holiday. Would I ever travel solo? I think I would travel solo. I think it's something I would love to try, but I am obviously very nervous about it because I am quite an introverted person. So as much as right now I'm saying yes, I would like to do it, we'd have to see if I carried through with it and if my nerves would get the better of me. So I've been filming for over an hour now. Hopefully I can cut this down, but if you have any questions which I haven't answered today, please just leave me a comment down below and I'll get back to you when I can. Please don't forget to like and subscribe for more content, and I'll see you next time. Bye!